When you were at Moody, how many black people was it?
Ooh.
Was it just you?
So
and
we
like
had an
5 of them?
actual minority table in the cafeteria. There was a table that was set aside. Everybody in the school knew it for, not by Moody. We created a table.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
They didn't segregate us.
Come on, man. Blacks only.
But it was one of those tables. So it was black, Puerto Rican, Mexican, like all of the minority students who kind of hung together, who had, stories that were similar, or they understood being other, or, not in the majority culture. It was just a free time for them to hang out, know each other's references of movies, things like that. That just comes second nature when you are similar. Yeah. Not to say that other or different is bad. It's just different, right? And so we had a minority table. I led a group called Embrace. It was the African American group on campus. There was a few folks, so it wasn't deep for sure. Like, I could probably count on my hand the 20 or 30 students that were black from like the States, but let alone black period, or brown.
Yeah,
it's thinner now.
It's a lot thin.
Yeah,
like, I be trying to look at. I be like, I seen you before? I feel like I see the same 5 students. Yeah. Well, and they not from here. They not from Chicago.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I think the one thing that they can do better is prepare students for what they're going to experience.
That's right.
The diversity of the city, how segregated the city is. I don't think people fully understand how segregated Chicago is.
Oh, super segregated. That was culture shock for me when I got here.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what's some of the big differences between like Cleveland and Chicago? Yeah,
Cleveland is, so I grew up mostly on the west side. I spent some time on the east side when I was younger. That's where Bone Thugs from and all of that. My cousin actually went to high school with them. But grew up on the west side, which is a melting pot of people. The high school down the street from the church I attended, it was over 20 languages spoken in high school. Very big Puerto Rican community. Black, Puerto Rican, white. I mean, everybody meshed in together. And then you had a lot of folks who were leaving the Civil War in Darfur as well, who were there. So it was just a very culturally mixed community. And so when I had my wedding, like my brother, he's black, my best friend, I had another best friend who's Lebanese and Italian. My other guy who's in the wedding's white. Like that's my life, right? Yeah. And that's what Cleveland was. So when I got here, to see that only black people lived in certain pockets, and Puerto Rican people and Mexican people, and it was just so weird to me, because I'm like, that's crazy. Like, we so separated.
Yeah.
I just wasn't accustomed to that.
Yeah. So you say you came in 2009?
Yeah.
I graduated high school in 2007.
Okay.
And I grew up in Logan Square. Okay. So people who watching this now are like, Logan Square is super nice, but Logan Square was like, man, bro, it was predominantly Hispanic. Mm-hmm. And then you had the next group it was blacks, and then it was whites sprinkled in there. Now you go there and it's majority white.
Yeah. Yep.
And so you still got some Latinos here and there, but for the most part, man, it's like they came and everything got bought out and everything changed, and it's a whole lot different. And you're starting to see it being pushed now towards Humboldt Park. Once you start seeing people jogging, pushing strollers with babies. Oh,
it's a wrap.
You already know. Then the Starbucks go up.
Starbucks, Whole Foods, Chipotle, the skinny gentrification font numbers. Yeah. It's a wrap.
So that's what Logan Square is. But I went to Lakeview High School, which was at that time the most diverse high school in the city for a non-selective enrollment public school.
Okay.
We had people from everywhere. Then, Katrina had hit, so we had a lot of people from Louisiana who lived on the south side. People from the south side was traveling all the way to the north side to go to Lakeview High School.
Wow.
So Lakeview High School was extremely diverse. And so when you walked into the lunchroom, you just look, you got Asians, you got blacks, you got, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, you got the kids over here. Like, it was very diverse. And so, like, I'm used to being around different types of people.
Right.
I enjoy it. I love it because I get to know about different people's culture, and I feel more in my element. I don't really know how. I don't know if I ever said this on this podcast, but I don't really know how I should feel about this. But like, I'm more comfortable in those diverse spaces than I am with my own people.
Okay. Why you think that is?
I think I just spend more time with them.
Okay.
Like growing up, my best friend was Puerto Rican and Italian.
Okay.
He moved away when I was like 12. My best friend now of 20 years, he's Puerto Rican. I spend a lot of time with Hispanics.
Okay.
And so, and they've always like embraced me.
Sure.
And they parents, the moms, the grandmas, super loving, welcoming. And I never felt, judged or isolated or like I wasn't wanted or that I shouldn't be there.
Sure.
And so outside of my own blood family, there was only maybe 4 or 5 black guys that I could say was like my friends and stuff like that. But yeah, growing up in the neighborhood, those are the people I spent the most time with. And so just growing up, especially once my grandmother passed away, my family kind of just, everybody went their own ways, different cities and moved away. So we don't spend as much time as we could. And then when I left Logan Square and I moved to the west side, Austin, it was just like violence. I was fighting all the time because I was different. So I had like a Hispanic cadence and, the way I spoke and the way I said certain words.
Okay.
And so, I had hair back then. And so I had like soft wavy hair.
Okay.
And so I had this like baby face. And so when I moved to the west side, it was just from day one, it was just like a lot of fighting.
Oh, word.
And it was weird because my dad lived in Austin. So a lot of times my dad was real inconsistent in my life, but I spent a lot of time in Austin, like riding my bike and hanging around. So I didn't feel like out of place, but like moving over there was just like being there every day. It was just like, it was different. And so for me, like, I'm looking around Moody now and I'm like, they could have some more black people here or market it. I don't know what
I think that's, and I think that's one of Moody's biggest missteps is that just not, I don't know if it could be marketing, that could be some, but then also just having the right voices. There are some good voices at the table. I know some of them, but having more diverse voices and going in places. And I think even shepherding or stewarding the folks who left Moody, who are out here. Like I can think about 9 or 10 people who are doing similar things that I am or other ministries that I wonder how much Moody really taps into them and their networks. To even think about them as being donors one day as the donor base is dying out and things like. So I think there's just some strategic things and really offering, ways to make it an on-ramp for people of color. It's just a different way of thinking. I remember in our ministry, this is similar, but it's a little off topic. We actually had a support raising model where we all raise support to work. We raise all our funds. And we don't now. And so when I started, there was 6 staff members. 2 of them were black. And now we have a staff of 23 and 1 of them's white. And what we did was we raised our funds as an organization where people didn't have to raise support. And we saw, because some people just historically, because maybe their church background wasn't a support raising church background, even when you think about like African American churches, they like raising support, like the support was people coming when they getting beat and they can't pay their bills and the church took care of them like that. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like there was some missionaries, but it just looked different. Outreach looked different. So I think you think about things like that, but it just wasn't a cadence that a lot of people was used to. As a black kid, I know, if one of our parents sends us to school and gets us through it or assists us, it's like, why are you asking for money now? You went to school, you get a job. You know what I mean? So it's just like a mindset that's different. And so we shifted that, and we saw now we have more black staff in a 82% black community. And I think Moody has to think about what things does Moody do that can be shifted that aren't sacred cows that will enable a more of an on-ramp or a desirable on-ramp for people of color.